don't know what lower third is.
The label for the speaker.
No, how do we do that again? That's right. IQ 33 is back.
You click the toolbox.
Okay. Here we go.
You just toggle it. Toggle that bitch.
Okay.
And then you can click the flip thing so it shows your actual.
Boom. Is it there?
No.
God damn it! How inept can I be?
Did you click the little on-off thing?
I did. Yes, I did. Absolutely.
And there's something in there.
Okay, you know what? It's not going to work for me. I got a pop-up saying effects are not supported when caching is not available. I'm running this incognito,
Really?
and I have my other account logged into.
Let's just say fuck it.
Okay, but yours is in. Leave your lower third up because
Why?
it's fun, it's exciting, riveting. It's like watching half an episode of 24. Okay, so are we ready for this? Are we done grunting and moaning? You ready?
Yes.
Boom. All right. Here we go. Here goes an intro.
So you figure, wait for the. Oh shit, we're live now.
We are live, bro. I made us live like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, did you?
You're welcome.
What is happening?
Means you're welcome.
Did you get the camera thing sorted out?
It comes off and on, so we're gonna play that by ear.
Okay. Whatever.
So I don't like this toggling back and forth. That's shitty. I like it better when it's always on you because I talk and then I watch all of your reactions.
But that's
all of your reactions. There we go. Yeah. I mean, it can. Okay, so here now it's going to go back and forth. It defaults to whoever's loudest, I think.
Okay. And you're going with the bottom right-hand corner in the dark.
That's your bottom right. Well, because I'm going to lean forward. When I'm serious about something, I get intent, and if I need to make a face, I'll look right over here at the camera and make a face. Are you serious? He is serious. All right, so let's do this. You ready for this to be introed properly for the MP3? Oh, wait, before we do this, we should see if anybody wants to respond on Twitter, put out a little tweet and say, hey, you want to listen live?
I already did.
Oh, you did?
I'm way ahead of you.
Okay.
I'm like 9 years ahead of you.
You are like 50 years ahead of me because I don't even know the link.
I just guessed. I actually did youtube.com / random letters, just assuming there can't be that many videos on YouTube. It has to be something.
Okay, I see it. I've got it. And okay, I'm going to take this, put it on my other screen. Boss. There we go. All right, let me just go ahead and Twitter this for those that want to be involved live. Twitter it, tweet it,
But we're not going to see comments, are we?
Yeah, if you're in the YouTube channel.
Oh, really?
There's comments off to the right. So if you open up the YouTube channel, just make sure you mute it. Otherwise, you can get feedback. It'll drive you insane. You'll be just like the man on the bus.
It's so fancy.
It's very fancy. So let me just tap out with my hunt and peck that people need to come and watch if they're going to be useful citizens of society.
Denizens.
To watch. Denizens, citizens. It's a combo. So watch. This is what I usually do, but I don't have a camera on me, so I'm like, how should I phrase my tweet? All right. Hold my breath so that the camera stays focused on you while I type this.
Does it actually? I mean, does it stay on the person who talked last until the next person talks? Pippity poppity. Your quiet face is weird.
Oh my God! That was my quiet face. I was holding my breath all that time. That's like an Olympic record. Christ, I was awesome just there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There we go. Twittage. That's twattage. If you call it a twat, I just twatted.
It's twalter.
Chicks will come and they will twat in our channel.
What does that? I mean, as a verb, what does that even mean?
Let's just figure that out. Let's break it apart. Just like when you're learning roots, prefixes, suffixes, and Latin class. Okay. So twat is the Greek prefix for twattage, which means women will squat and twat. And we'll let your mind run wild with it from there.
I don't think that means anything.
It means a whole lot to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you this, if you go to a bar and you're trying to get laid, you'll pretty much break open a can of twat. You'll drink it. All right. You ready to intro this cast? You want to intro or you want me to intro? Who do you want to do this?
You do it.
This one's called Miguelito's Worm, by the way.
That doesn't make sense. So we're gonna do. What's it called?
It's Worm because what do you want?
Slavery.
Oh shit! Okay, I already named it. It's like on
it's too late. It's too
all
late.
the people listening live are seeing.
Why is it my worm?
Because
what is my worm?
I don't know. God, man. That's what came to my head as inspiration. I was thinking Miguelito's Worm, episode 3. All right, let's do this. So now, I've got my list. That's what the list looks like. Yeah, I'm gonna try to read that in the dark. Let's start this. You ready? You ready, handsome? Should I call you handsome or Hanson? I just want to make sure we're doing this properly.
But I don't have like long blonde hair.
God, those guys are overplayed. All right, here we go.
Tiny children.
Hello, folks. Hello there. This is your friend Barney. All right, seriously.
Jesus Christ.
This is on me. This is no good being on me. We got this is how it's supposed to be. I can laugh, giggle, you know, and nobody sees. All right.
Looking at how schizophrenic this automatic camera director thing is,
I know.
I feel like it's better to just manually go back and forth.
I know, because otherwise it's like it's gonna give somebody an a seizure. Let's just go there, okay?
Yes. Okay, well, epilepsy is a medical condition.
Yes.
I mean, not
which can be triggered by flashing lights.
Right, or Pokemon.
Or Pokemon, especially Pokemon eating drumsticks of beef, chicken, or rabbit.
Of eating drumsticks of other Pokemon. Because there's no beef.
We ready?
Intros.
Let's fire this up. Okay, here comes the real intro. So when you create the MP3, we're good to hook. Let me just take a sip of this coffee. Okay, here we go.
Sip.
See, that's like a mic boom, dude. In and out. All right. Anyway. All right, welcome to episode 3 of Mr. Pod. I'm joined this evening by the man, the myth, the Miguelito, and his worm. And I am Ryan, your other host. We're going to talk a lot about ArcheAge, iPhone, also known as the iBend, the OnePlus, and a slew of other topics. Miguelito, you handsome fuck, how are you tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good right now. I've got a couple of big reds in my system, and I'm looking at you, trying not to laugh for whatever reason. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Does that even work?
I hold my breath so that the camera doesn't focus on me.
That's okay. You can just pop back and forth. We can confuse people's eyes as well as their minds.
I know, my God, I'm going to fucking throw up, dude. Honestly, I'm going to throw up watching this. So I might have to, like, minimize it. But then again, I don't get to see, oh, Jesus Christ. I don't get to see all your expressions. Yeah, you know what we might need to do? I might need you to grow a pair of tryhards. Nice, meaty tryhards. Let them just flourish between thy loins and create an overlay so that we're both present the entire time. And you might say, Ryan, why don't you create said overlay? Because right. I think you really need to up your game, your tryhard game. This will do it for you. It's just the next step. We got to get you.
My game is fine, probably. Without
all right, so let me provide you a list of items that we're going to discuss tonight. You know, I went over ultra brief in our little intro there what we're going to cover, but I have a more precise list. And as always, I'll let you pick what we're going to discuss. Except ArcheAge has to be near the top, if not the top. I kind of want to talk about phones first, but here we go. We've got cell phones as a topic because they are hot. We've got the OnePlus and the iBend in the market. And by the way, Apple shares dropped recently. Do you think that's a result of the bendiness of the iPhone 6? I don't know. I want to talk to you about books. I want to talk about old man decrepit hobbies with you. What do you read? I know what I read. I've got a few going on, but what do you read? And strawberry shortcake to your daughter doesn't count.
I don't I don't know what that means.
All right.
Strawberry.
T-shirts. We've got T-shirts. All right. And that's going to be the first topic. I'm going to put a star by that. In fact, we'll just knock it out right now. We have got a T-shirt for you guys to buy. Go to cafepress.com/MMO Smack Talk. You'll see our first shirt there. I saw that Miguelito was trying to craft a pint glass. I like the logo you did there. You just need to finish it up and put it on the market for our beautiful listeners to purchase. And, so we've got the T-shirt. We've got the pint glass up and coming. And the T-shirt is basically #QAge. So if you want to remain relevant in today's society, buy one. In fact, buy two.
It's out just in time for them to have basically fixed the Q issue in ArcheAge. It's basically over now. So we now have a shirt for the history of that event.
Let me rephrase that. If you want to become irrelevant and live in the land of yesterday, log on to cafepress.com/MMO Smack Talk and purchase our #QAge shirt.
All proceeds go to Cafe Press, and then we might get like 5 cents.
We will glean $1 from that sale.
$1 per case.
That's how I set it up. They take a huge fucking vig, those bastards. Okay, so that's the T-shirt talk. We're done with that unless you want to talk about it. But I do want to say I was thinking about making a T-shirt with your face on it. You made a funny little image recently. It's green and I don't know what the fuck you said. I've got it on my computer here somewhere. But I think we ought to put those in shirts or coffee mugs because I will buy all of them. I'll just buy them myself.
Yeah, or we could just wait for people to bootleg it when we get like super popular. People just start making like spray paint stencils of my ass.
I don't know if you can get more popular than we are already, though. That's
we have literally sevens of listeners. Multiples of 7.
Yeah.
Always.
So the one I'm talking about is you with the green background. Did they just talk about NFL players fighting against MMA fighters on a gaming podcast? And you're like, oh, which is perfect. I love it. I think everybody else listening to this, they probably love it too. And don't worry, we will get into ArcheAge for all of those of you tuning in and looking for that topic. It's coming. Just hold on a second. All right, so other topics to discuss. Never interrupt me again, son.
I will kill you.
Okay, that's one mark against you. Your name is in the sad face. Okay, so we've got ArcheAge, Dota 2, The Rekindling, Minecraft. Quickie here, just tell me what you think. That dude made, well, he didn't. His company was just recently sold for 2.5 bills to Microsoft. What do you think about that, man?
You can buy a lot of Propecia for that much money. And then you don't have to wear those ridiculous fedoras all the time.
You are one bad motherfucker. You mean? I can't believe
we're talking about like possibly the most repugnant game developer, which is really, that puts you like on Olympus, on a whole other tier, to be like especially noticeably weird looking amongst game developers. But I think Notch accomplishes that pretty well.
Now to speak about this from the non-angry side of the house, I gotta say, Notch, I would gladly swing from your ball sack any old day.
For $1 billion.
I don't have anything negative to say. I think that guy, I'm gonna go ahead and say not that he's a genius, but he's just awesome. With the IQ of 33 that I possess, I can simplify things by saying he is awesome. To elaborate further, I'll try, but just that the guy, he was part of developing, what'd you say before? He was part of Worm. I don't know what the fuck he was part of. I know that he played a game with some mining in it, and he thought, I could do this better. I could do it my way, and he went off and pursued that, and he built some fucking ugly ass blocks and little pigs with pixelated faces, but somehow became popular. And when I heard about this, I'm like, no way. I looked at it, I couldn't get into it, but then I downloaded it, I give it a try, and next thing you know, I was hooked. So Notch is awesome. Every single penny he's received, and I'm excited that somebody who's gone independent like that could have reaped such a huge benefit. I mean, after all the hundreds of millions they've already generated in revenue, now they've sold out for $2.5 billion. And, good for him because he's going to take the time off. He said he's done developing. He's going to put that in the hands of the other guys on his squad, and he's pretty much pulling out full time. Is pulling out a good idea? I usually don't.
He put a large amount of evil out into the world when he made that Java client.
I'm not sure I like your attitude about that. I don't know where your facial expressions.
Big fan of the Java runtime environment for a game platform.
I know. Look, yeah, there's been a lot of lagginess, glitchiness, like memory problems and stuff.
On a relatively simple application. I mean, it's not like Minecraft is some like vastly technologically advanced production. It's just like a basic voxel engine. And I mean, we could probably make that game in a couple of months.
Notch, when you're listening to this, I want you to know I cannot make that in a month. I could probably never make that, but I think it's great, and I'm happy that he was able to score huge. Honestly, for being not a game developer myself, but just somebody who dabbles in a little bit of code, it's definitely inspirational to some level and exciting that a man can, he can make it just by the sweat of his own efforts, and of course it doesn't always work out. It requires a certain amount of now, is virility the right word? Virality, for things to really take off, and I think it's awesome. I just love it. I want to praise him. I'm going to fly to Sweden and praise him in person. Join me.
And give him a fancy new hat.
You're such a dick. All right, let's move on. So we can check that one off. That was beautiful. You know what? Throughout this cast, Miguelito and his worm will grace us with a few coughs, as well as voices, imitations.
Oh God!
Let's hear Deckard Cain go. You're on.
Why?
You're on.
You can't just point and say, "Let's hear some genius." Like that's not how this works.
Deckard Cain, you're on. Go.
No. Now you're looking at me. I'm all shriveled up.
Okay, do I need to do it? Now, I'm horrible with imitations. I'm not going to pretend. On a good day, I could do Barney. I mean, I did it to my child the other day. She's sitting down there. She's in need of a wipe, so I'm like talking Barney and, I love you. And she's like starting to rage, like, Dad, stop it. I hate that fucker. It's about the best I could do. I mean, stay a while and listen. Did that inspire you?
I think you got it. I think you got it on lockdown. I've already done the impression on the Sandbox podcast, so.
Nobody listens to the Sandbox, not when they've got Mr. Bob to listen to.
I know. It's like them just screening their own episodes over and over.
I just said it, Coolit. I just said it, Quint. I just said it, Nate Ryle. When you've got Miguelito and his worm to give real live Deckard Cain impersonations, nobody's going to listen to anything else, But as soon as he's done, they'll probably tune right back in. So go ahead, give it to us. You're on the spot. Last time, go.
I really don't want to do this right now.
What a little bastard. Okay. So maybe you could just drop one or five of them throughout the cast because you're really good at it. Moving on, though, and this is a point we're going to talk about in ArcheAge. Okay, it's kind of under that umbrella, but you definitely got to tell people what to do in order not to get logged out, which is funny, and it stimulates other thoughts I have from the past. I'd say I got another one here. It says Twitter pic from Mig. I have no idea what that means, so I'm going to cross that out. We just covered it. This will happen.
It could mean a lot of things. It could mean it could mean the promotional stuff for the podcast. It could mean the ArcheAge pictures I've been putting out.
Yes, that's it. That's it. You fucking God, nah, step aside. We've got Miguelito. Yes, that's it.
I'm growing fatter by the second.
I want to talk about that. So when we discuss ArcheAge, which is going to happen basically right now, I
Yeah.
want you to discuss those pictures and everything else. So let me put a big circle next to this one since we remember now. ArcheAge. Um,
Okay.
there's a lot to
Arcade.
cover. So
Arcade.
what I'm going to do,
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with it. I'm going to, excuse me, give you my latest thoughts because I was able to get in a little bit longer. And,
Hmm.
for those of you who are listening or tuning in on YouTube Live, which there's one, and that one person is actually me. I've got it on my other screen here. Um,
Hello, self.
hello there, you. Good
Stay a
looking.
while and listen.
There it is, folks. There it is. That's like seeing a unicorn in the wild.
The Herodric Cube.
um, so here's the
God,
way I
that
feel
game's
about
so old.
ArcheAge. Is it is I've logged in now 3 times. Once on the Khalil server, I created a guy. I ran around to like level 2, and I wanted to cry. I was just about to stab myself in the eye with my pen, but I stopped myself as my son walked in because he wanted to wrestle. I'm like, I need this eye to wrestle. I'm not very good. I'm not like Jean-Claude Van Damme when he's got that blindfold on and he's doing those kung fu moves, training for the Kumite. That's not me
Kumite.
yet. Kumite,
It's
tomato,
important that
tomato,
you get it right.
potato. Okay. Deckard Cain. Um, so
Descartes game.
it's I gotta say, ArcheAge. So I played that. So I played to level 3 on Khalil, and then you told me, you got to get on Enla. We're gonna be able to do some stuff for you. So I got on, and I ran myself to level 5, and I'm not reading a
Oh
thing.
man.
I'm not engaged in any of the landscape. It's killing me. I went to level 5, and I couldn't take it anymore. And the reason I couldn't take it is because I've done all of this before. I was talking to
Yeah.
my son, the other day. I'm saying, dude, because he's asking about it. I'm saying, you would love this game because you've never played it. You don't have the experience, and you've not like hit that treadmill 50,000 times. So no matter what, if I say something negative to you about ArcheAge, just know, boy, you're gonna love it, and we got to get you fired up and go school some fools out there. Have a nice, get an 8-year-old kid to slap around 35-year-olds. But from my end, it's the things that I dislike are things I've talked about in the past on the Vipercast, but I'm going to rehash them here for our brand spanking new listeners. And the first thing that stands out is I'm not. It's not the quests are bad, but they're just overdone for me. I mean, we did it in EverQuest, in EverQuest 2, in WoW, in Lineage, and there's so goddamn many quests that you're doing, and it's just nonstop. And that was one thing that was refreshing for me in Darkfall. You didn't feel like you had to complete a quest to advance. You just went out and did whatever you wanted to do. And while Darkfall might not be the choice game for everybody, it does offer, that feature where you're not feeling like you've got to just plug your dick into a quest, otherwise you're fucked. Um, so that's one thing against ArcheAge for me. But once again, that's not going to be a universal problem. The second thing, now, I have not yet engaged in PvP. However, when I do, I'm pretty certain, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I'm going to be seeing people's name tags floating above their heads or across their bodies, whatever. Meaning they can't necessarily go hide behind a tree because I'm going to see the width of their label if they have some long ass stupid fucking guild name like Dallas multi-pass user fucking got pulled over in the HOV lane. So you're going to see those dudes with those long guild tags trying to hide behind a tree, begging for their lives, clinging to
Not
their teddy
necessarily.
bears and weeping into their blankets. No, I'm not done yet. You're gonna see that as soon as and I'm done in like 1 minute, And so the name tags, I really like that in Mortal Online and Darkfall you don't have the name tags. You can only identify your target once your reticle is hovering over them. Personally, I've come to prefer that method of identification. Once again, I can understand for individuals who they prefer more or less the lazy method. You see it, you can name it, and I know that for PvP, it's good when you want to call shots out. Hey, get Miguelito, let's fuck that dude up. You can just call it, everybody's on it. But I'm just tired of that. What else? And I guess I just circle back around to where I started. And you're like, hey, that's not a lot of points against ArcheAge. Well, it surely is. When you've got to do quests to level up, and I know you don't have to. You can go plant a potato until level 50. You can go get maybe power leveled in PvP like you were telling me the other day. But if you guys aren't on it and want to engage, it's horrible. So just to wrap this up, I did log on for about 30 minutes today, this afternoon, just to see, could this be better if I'm playing by myself? And once again, I'm just doing quests, from
Yeah.
level 5 to level 8. And here's what I did. I picked a quest. I just seen question marks and shit all over the place. So I'm clicking on dudes and accepting. I'm like, yes, we're friends. And next thing you know, I'm saddled with some fucking wood on my back, and I'm I'm walking like a quarter of the speed. So I see the number one arrow under my feet. I'm like, maybe that's it. So I'm following number one. I followed number one for like 10 minutes to go into a castle and talk to some, lord of the castle. And when I talked to him, my satchel of wood, my backpack of wood, it went away for a moment. But then as soon as he gave me another quest, it was back again. I'm like, shit. So then I go over to somebody else to turn the next quest. I still have the sack of wood on my back. And then after that, I thought to myself, there's no way I could be burdened down with this fucking lumber forever. So I reviewed my quest, and I realized that I took a quest to help people build their house, which I wouldn't do in real life. I'd
Like
say,
five
no,
steps
fuck you, I'm not
away.
going to build your goddamn house. Go build it yourself. You will not encumber me with this load of timber. And so they tricked me. I was fucking tricked by a video game, and I'm walking all over ArcheAge land. I don't even know the name of the territory. You got to tell me. And I'm walking all over, and with this wood saddle on me. It's my fault for not reading the quest, but they bore the fuck out of me. So anyway, after that experience, if I was not going to play with you, I would probably never log in again. Where am I going
Yeah.
wrong here?
No, I think that pretty much nails it. ArcheAge obviously is not a perfect game, but what they do is they basically have 20 levels where each quest is sort of part of a micro part of a tutorial. And you're talking about a game that probably has more features than, I mean, I can't think of an MMO that has more features than ArcheAge to deal with. So really, what they're just trying to do is if you're not reading the quest, it's not helping you. Obviously, you got to kind of figure it out on your own, but you need to learn it at some point. So what you did basically was you picked up this trade pack of wood that you're supposed to build a house that's like literally 4 steps away, and you ran across the countryside and wasted a huge amount of time when really all they're trying to show you is that to carry large resource packs, you have to have that item on your back, which slows you down and can be looted if you die, uh, adding an element of danger to you know running trade routes and things like that. It's a smaller part of a much larger system. As to the name tags, I would say that most of the time, like if somebody's far away at all, you don't see them. Mostly they just pop in when you're finding out that the group of like the friendly boat that's pulling up next to you is full of pirates. So you see, that they're red or whatever, and they're ready to kill you. So at that point, you're like, oh shit, I better like. I mean, you're pretty well fucked at that point. You can't do a whole lot by the time you see their name tag. But so that's not really an issue to me, uh, because the game's not really about hiding behind a tree and waiting for something to come. The game's about going out and doing like Darkfall. If you take an approach like you want to go do whatever you want, you can do that absolutely. Um, I mean, I haven't gained substantial amount of levels in a few days because all I've been doing is going and sailing out into the ocean and killing the Asians because uh, I'm one of the white people, so you're supposed to kill Asians if you're white. And I mean, it's basically that's all I've wanted to do, so that's all I've been doing. But
What do you,
I
real
haven't.
quick, what do you mean by that? Because you mentioned this earlier about you said this is pretty much a game of Asians versus Caucasians. War of
Yeah,
the Asians. What do you mean by that? I haven't really
it's
thought about it or investigated.
it's amusing because if the game was made in the U.S., I don't think they would be able to take this approach. But this game has actually manufactured a race war between the Asian culture and the Western culture,
How do you
and
figure?
well, to the point to where if you're part of one faction, you're either white, either the white people faction or you're the Asian people faction, and you can't participate with them at all, other than killing them. It's like when I set out to build my small army last night of newbies to go kill people. I said, "Hey, let's go kill some Chinamen," and everybody was like, "Okay." They knew what that meant because it's your job as a white man to go kill all the Chinese people. That's like part of the game, even though they're probably Korean, to be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair,
Interesting. You know, what's funny is I didn't even when I built my character. You know, I built a character on that Khalil server, and it was God. I don't even know the factions. Is the faction in the east? You know,
yeah,
with the Taj Mahal, and so it's one of those dudes. And then you know, since I joined the Endless server, I created a I don't know what faction it is. He's like some blonde-haired dude with armor.
yeah, the whites. You can either be a white guy or an elf, which is one faction, or you could be an Asian guy or a cat person, which is the other faction. I don't know how those are equivocal, or how they relate to each other at all, but I guess they assume that people that like Asian stuff also like to be a man-sized animal. I,
Now, you know, I got to tell you, I heard something. Actually, I read it today that there is an exploit if you're playing in the East. And once again, you guys who play ArcheAge and know what's going on, you know, forgive me for not knowing the names of the content. Actually, don't forgive me because I don't fucking care. I'm not into it yet. Miguelito's got to sell me on this first, this game. But one exploit that has been in effect is that there's a trade route if you're in the East that takes 5 minutes and can yield like 4 to 5 gold. What do you think about that?
I mean, doesn't it make sense that a Korean developer would put some Korean advantage into the game to help with the war effort against the whiteys?
Do you think that's done purposely?
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's totally innocent. But the thing about ArcheAge that you have to realize is it is a buggy piece of shit, and it's almost you almost don't notice because everything runs so smooth because of the CryEngine. All the UI is really together and tight, and it doesn't feel like glitchy like an indie project. But it is so fucking buggy. It's terrible.
Well,
Like,
okay, in what ways? Because realistically, what game that's been released ever didn't have weird bugs and glitches?
this game's 2 years old. I mean, they've been out in Korea and Russia forever, and we're just now getting it. So you have to wonder because we have all the same patches they do almost. Um, but I don't know. Uh, I'm dealing with people like dropping out constantly, blue screening, and all kinds of stuff just from playing this game.
Okay,
And
before we
it's
go any further, I got to ask you, is this game worth subbing to? Now, forget the queue. Let's say the queue, you know, is no longer and nobody's going to have to wait to play. Is it worth subbing to?
I think it's more of a matter of if you're going to play the game, you should sub to it. Because if you're not subbing to it, then you can't own land, which is important if you want to have resources. Because if you don't have resources, you can't build a boat, you can't build your house, you can't do other stuff without going like extremely roundabout ways or stealing people's crops or whatever. So in that respect, it's worth it. You also get a lot more labor points, which is the way that they limit production and growth on the server, so people don't have a tremendous advantage if they play like 24 hours a day over somebody who plays like 3 hours a day.
When you
Um,
say they don't have a tremendous advantage, do you mean like physically
well,
the prowess of their tune? Because
let me
surely
put it
their gold is going to be superior.
let me put it this way: like in order to um, get resources, you have to mine or cut down trees or whatever. Every action, crafting, it all takes labor points, which is a finite amount of points that you have. You regenerate a certain amount over time, and you can run out pretty quickly. I mean, in the course of an hour, when I was trying to dump them so I could gain the maximum amount of experience from using my labor points, I wiped out about 2,000 labor points. The max that you can have is 5,000. So you could wipe out 5,000 labor points in a couple hours pretty easily, get 100% of the usage out of your labor points, and basically not be able to do any crafting or anything for the rest of the day. In that respect, I mean that somebody can't start their character and play like themselves into a coma and ignore their family, and they're not going to have that much of an advantage, period. I mean, they're just not, because that's such a huge part of the game.
How are labor points regenerated?
Well, if you're logged in, you get 10 labor points, I think, every 5 minutes. If you're logged out, it's 5 every 5 minutes.
So then it would be
if you're subbed. If you're not subbed, you don't regenerate any labor points while you're logged out.
Okay, so if you're subbed, you get it when you're logged out. If you're not, you don't get anything.
Yeah, which is kind of a weird. I mean, it encourages people to AFK, and that was one of the biggest issues with the queues.
Now, when you AFK, though, you'll get kicked out, right?
Yeah. Segue alert. What we figured out was that holding 1 or 2 keys down, like running forward, they detect that and they kick you out. But if you hold 3 keys down, then it thinks that you're playing. That's all it takes. So basically, you get your nickels and you shove them into the keyboard to hold 3 different keys down, and you'll stay logged in. Now, Tryon, if you're listening to this, I'm not doing it, so don't look, please. But, it's a pro tip for assholes who want to launch those queues even higher.
Do you know any said assholes?
Do I know any said assholes?
Do you know any said assholes?
But it's not like I'm doing it right now. It's not like I'm definitely right now doing it while we're doing this podcast. I'm certainly not doing it at this very moment. And everyone I know also isn't doing it right now.
I should be logged in, just collecting that shit in case I play actively.
But no, I would say don't do that, but do it. Because it is illegal, so don't do it. But definitely you should do it.
Well, can't you just write like an auto script, AutoEd or auto hotkey to do the same thing versus stuffing fucking currency in your computer?
I'm sure you could, and that's fairly easy. And even the people that are doing it are very capable of that. But why do it when you could just hey, it's some change, jam it in the keyboard, and you're done?
Tell me about crafting and harvesting. Actually, start with harvesting because that's something I'll personally more likely engage in first. What is that like? And let me quickly just say this. So I'm running around today, not knowing what the fuck is up, and I'm like, oh, there's a fence. Let me Evel Knievel that bitch. I run up, I hit my whirlwind, and I fly at the fence, and I'm jumping, and just as I'm, going over the fence, I see an exclamation mark, a blue exclamation mark, that I'm leaving behind me. I thought, well, that can't be good. I got to go inspect that and see what's up. Go back over there, and it's a flower. And apparently my guy wants to dig it because I put my mouse over the flower and a cog shows up. So I click the cog. My dude whips out his spade. I shovel the flower out. And next thing you know, I lost some labor points just for digging up that flower. It's like 5 points or something. I shouldn't have done. I'm like, wait a minute. I lost labor points. I don't even know what they're good for. I'll have to get a goddamn flower. And
you got it. Damn it. No.
Stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll.
Fuck.
Anybody who's not watching this, Miguelito is having a technical emergency. He's caught on fire. What happened? Did you pull the change out of your ArcheAge?
Damn it.
I hear you, dude. Oh, interesting. He said call back, so hang loose, everybody. We are going to call Miguelito. I don't even know how to do this. What the hell? All right, here we go. Bear with. Okay, I got invite. It's easier if I add them to my circles, but I have not yet configured that. Here we go. Miguelito, invite. Okay, so for those of you who have been playing ArcheAge, and if Miguelito said anything, because I really don't know much at all about this, but if you're playing ArcheAge and you have some semblance of understanding what we're talking about, then by all means, we encourage you, for my own edification at the very least, please, either send a direct Twitter to us. Well, it doesn't have to be direct. Just tweet us, twat us, whatever, about your thoughts, or go to mmosmacktalk.com, click on the Mr. Pod icon, and locate from there episode number 3, Miguelito's Worm, and opine. Let loose Savage Miguelito, who has just rejoined us, and let him know that he is fucking clueless on everything ArcheAge.
Jesus Christ.
What happened to you over there? It's like I saw your vinegar strokes.
I was wiggling around, and I kicked the USB microphone out of the hub like a boss.
Like a boss. Throw it on the ground. I still heard you though, so you were talking, and I guess you just lost ear comms then.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything, so I had to come back. What was I talking about? This is super professional.
We're talking about harvesting in ArcheAge. I was explaining how I wasted like 5 labor points on a goddamn daisy, and I feel bereft about that. So
what you did, even by picking the flower, is you traded your labor points for a little bit of experience. And, it's going to be about the same as like killing an equal level monster or something like that, just for digging up a flower. So you can understand why labor points, even on a newbie level, would have value. So then you could take that flower and you could craft something out of it. And when you craft something out of it, you gain even more experience and spend even more labor points. So it's kind of a slippery slope. Like the longer you play, the more labor points things require, but the more experience you gain from making things. And it's a pretty intense crafting system.
Wait, hold on one sec. Let me ask you this. I gotta stop you because I don't want you to move past harvesting yet. Like I said, as far as the crafting system is concerned, that's most likely how I'll engage that system the majority of the time. So let me get this straight. Let's say I've got 10 labor points and I see 3 flowers in the ground. How many flowers can I pick? This is like a word puzzle, a word problem for kids nowadays. But seriously, how can I only pick 2 of them if they cost 5 points each? Or really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! And picking a flower is expensive.
But I mean, when you're subbed, your cap is at about 5,000. So it's not. 5 is not something you really miss.
Well, I'm not concerned about my cap. I'm concerned about my base. I had 95 points when I dug up that daisy.
Yeah, because you start with 0. And basically, when you're playing early on, you're basically just running through the grind of trying to figure out how to play the game. And they really do a poor job, I think, framing it as a tutorial, because that's all it is. I mean, once you get out of those early quests, I think people get stuck and they think this is World of Warcraft, because if you just follow the quest, that's what it is. I mean, it's the same old, same old. And like last night, I ran around in a low-level area just mining iron ore for about 30 minutes, and I gained an entire level just because, that's how the system works.
You gain an actual level where you can now apply more skill points to your combat prowess?
Yeah. It's just like a normal level. It's all the same experience.
Well, it's not a crafting level. It's
right. The crafting, most things in the game you can make at level 1 if you have enough labor points in the materials. There's no, the specialization for like tiered gear and stuff like that, you have to have a higher level of specialization, but like you can craft a lumber pack and go build a house at level 1 if you have the resources for it.
I want to ask you about mining. How long, 2 questions. How long does it take to deplete 1 resource node? Well, 3 questions actually. 2, do you have to continually engage it? For example, in Darkfall, the way it worked initially when the game launched is you'd have to instantiate a striking pattern on it, and then that would run for like 5 seconds, and then you have to click your mouse again for another, and then they'd run for 5 seconds, and people end up just making hotkeys, and eventually they built in the game that would do it auto, for the entire, I can't remember how long it took, like 5 minutes to mine out a node. And then thirdly, how do you identify these nodes? In World of Warcraft, at least is the way it was back in the day. Once you were a miner, you'd have on your minimap a bunch of little gold dots decorating the minimap, and you can just run to it, and hopefully the node wasn't depleted. Hopefully your buddy didn't beat you to it. That happened to me a lot. And you just go ahead and extract the ore from it. So answer those questions. I hope you took
Yeah,
them.
it seems like the nodes. Well, okay, you mine the node once and it's gone, and then there's a
Wait, real
check.
quick. By gone, do you mean it's depleted or it actually is
It disappears.
removed from the area?
It disappears for about, I think, probably about 10 or 15 minutes, and then it comes back. But once you have completed mining that node, there's a chance, and I don't know the percentages of another node popping up called a Fortuna vein, where you can mine a higher level ore for like double the experience afterwards. And so people that are just running through and hitting the same ones over and over, occasionally you'll see a bunch of the higher value nodes popping out that they just missed because they were just rushing. But
Are you being racist again?
no, rushing. We're not rushing.
Now, if you remember, in Vanguard, you could tag team a node. In fact, it behooved you to have the max number of people slamming a node at the same time, and then you can get more ore and more rares, I believe, was a possibility as well. Is there anything like that built in where you can tag team a node,
No.
or is it just to do it one alone? Secondly, if you start hitting a node and I run up, is the node locked and will only serve you, or can I extract from that vein as well?
No, it's a cock block system. If you're the first one there and you start mining it, someone else is trying to mine it right after you. It'll disappear and they get nothing.
I'm not a fan of that. I don't like the cock block system. I like the system where
Well,
you both tap on it, and then you can kick me in the sack if you're disgruntled, which takes me to
there.
my next question. I mean, I still want to stay with harvesting, but can you attack me even if we're of the same faction and I'm hitting your node?
Only in warring regions or on the enemy continent. Um, on the main continent, it's pretty much just a happy-go-lucky kind of a system.
And not to deviate too far from the topic of harvesting, but I've seen these trials taking place where convicted murderers are, you know, put before a jury of their peers for their crimes. If you kill somebody on that neutral continent, is that a crime? I mean, how are these crimes happening?
Yeah. So the way crime happens, and most crime is nonviolent. I think that's a great part of ArcheAge. The way crimes happen is somebody commits an illegal act. In this case, we're talking about murder, which is the most illegal act, and then it leaves a footprint or a blood stain behind, depending on the nature of the crime. And a person actually has to go in and they have to report the crime and leave a little note about what they think happened, so that when it goes to trial, the people can review all the crimes and all the notes on the crime. So like if you're in a guild with somebody and they mine your thing and it's a crime, you can report it saying, oh, it's no big deal, guy was in my guild, and the jury might find him innocent. Now that probably won't happen because people are dickheads. So naturally, you get on a jury, you want to stick it to somebody. But I mean, at least that's my experience. People might be completely different. Now touching on going back to the mining real quick. When you're mining, the nodes are usually clustered pretty well. So if you see another person and you're competing for the same type of vein, I mean, there's mostly like 5 or 6 around the same area. So you get half and they get half, and it's not a big deal. It's not like you see one out in the wilderness and everybody bum rushes it and tries to get it first. And that doesn't happen nearly as often as it happens with like trying to tag a boss, which is kind of a first come first serve basis.
So mobs
But
get locked, just like nodes.
they do, and it's the funniest shit in the world. Because you'll run up to a group of people who are all in the same group and waiting to kill this enemy, and you'll just be the first one, like quick on the draw with your bow, and then they kill it for you, and you get all the credit. But that's just
Damn.
that's kind of a flawed system. But again, it's like they leave it open to the players to kind of juror themselves as far as crime and punishment is concerned.
Well, okay, so what kind is that a crime? Can you sue
No,
somebody for stealing your
that's
boss?
that's not a crime. However, people can place. like crops and trees and plant things out in the wilderness in an unprotected area like because when you can own land, you can plant a farm, and everything you plant on your farm is yours. But if you are free to play and you try and plant something, it has to be like you have to plant it in like a hidden space, and then hope you can get back to it when it finishes growing before some asshole goes and digs it up just for fun. But that would be a crime because you own that. Even if they can dig it up, you still technically owned it. So if you go back and somebody has dug up your palm tree patch, you can you can report those crimes, and eventually it'll come around, probably, but not necessarily, because it's such a minor thing. Murder is a lot more severe.
Okay,
But
I want to get back to the jury system again, and of course we're going to circle back to harvesting. I'm not going to forget about that. I probably will forget about it. That's what happens with my huge IQ. But I want to stick to the jury system for just a moment. And by the way, here's a drawing for you. It's that's kind of creepy, isn't it?
super
Anyway,
dark.
yeah, okay, I'll email it to you. Not really. Anyway, about the jury system. So we've got one guy listening right now, live. So all you guys who thought we wouldn't have somebody listening, you can suck it.
Is it
Anyway,
you?
this is from Dancing Cactus, which in the YouTube is Walrus with Taste. Anyway, he's wondering if the jury system is possibly taken more seriously on the other servers as opposed to your server and your experiences with it. Or is everybody just dicking around and that's that?
Okay. It's kind of there's a bigger answer to the way that people treat this game, and I think it all comes from the fact that there are no PvP servers, there are no PvE servers. Everybody plays together, and the game appeals so strongly to the type of person who would never want to PvE. You see, or the PvP rather. I'm sorry. That you see a lot of nicer citizens than you would typically see on a PvP server in World of Warcraft. You see a lot of people that like just want to play to plant their petunias and pick them and like milk cows and shit, and that's like all they want to do. So basically, those people get on a jury and they're taking it seriously, and you see that a lot more often than you see a guy like me. I mean, I'm just out to fuck with people on the highest level at all times because that's I'm just a bad guy. I'm a bad person in real life. I'm a bad person in video games.
Bad to the
So
bone.
I'm a horrible citizen, and I want to get on there and I want to say, you stole apples, you're getting executed. Like I hate you. You're a bad man. I mean, to put it even further, I have a combat dog, and his name is Filthy Dog Corpse because he died. I never resurrected him, and I summon him all the time. So whenever I kill a person in PvP, I summon my dead dog on top of them. And so, I mean, you just come up with all these ways. There's so many ways for a person like me to indulge in a game like this. It really just appeals to everybody. But summoning that dead, lifeless dog on top of people's corpses is probably the highlight of my day.
Has anybody squealed to you about that? Written you private messages hating on you?
I mean, they put an ability in the game called Kick that everybody gets. And whenever somebody dies, an NPC, a player, or whatever, you can use Kick on their body and basically just kick their body repeatedly, slowly moving it across the ground. So if you kill a person on the deck of your ship, you can just slowly punt them into the water, and if they don't release their corpse, they're just seeing you like boot them around. This game is made for people like me, but it's also made for people that want to like grow coconuts all day. It's like it's a perfect. I feel like a balance like this hasn't been achieved, and people hate that I bring up Ultima Online all the time. But in Ultima Online, there were people that just tamed horses all day. That's like what they enjoyed doing, and they didn't want to fight. They just wanted to have their horses, you know. And this type of game appeals to that kind of a person, but it also appeals to someone like me who wants to take out a boat and make somebody's day worse for fun.
All right. Well, about the justice system, one thing I
Yeah.
noticed is that he got 5 minutes in jail for whatever. I don't know if he was picking flowers or he killed somebody, but two questions: how is the sentence selected? Is there like a drop down with the possible punishments, or what's the interface for that look like? And then how does the jury agree on this? And thirdly, why am I seeing jury chat? It's in orange uh, in my chat box. Is that just the pretty much the outcome of the trial, or am I actually seeing every trial in my faction live right there in orange?
You're seeing the proceedings, and sometimes that shit is hilarious. Like you're seeing the jurors talk and the defendant talk, right? So that's a big part of it. Is the person tries to like convince the jury to not be dickheads, and in some instances it's like enemy guilds will be on a jury panel, like of your peers my ass, and they're just there to like wreck your day. But most of the time, I would say it's not even 50-50. I bet it's like 70-30 decent people playing the game. And that's what makes it work.
Well, how is sentence handed out? That's the part I don't understand. Is that
I,
from a drop down menu?
I,
Have
I
you never
haven't
been?
I haven't delved into it too deeply yet.
Have you
I
been on
just
a
hit
jury?
30, so I'm now eligible to do the jury duty quest and put myself on jury duty, and I'm going to do that as soon as I can. But I just hit 30 like 5 minutes ago
All
while we
right,
were
let's
talking.
you douchebag. Let's
while
go back.
running while running in circles with my 3 keys and the nickel.
3 keys and a nickel. All right, well, let's go back to harvesting. Um, I'm still curious about things. Well, I guess I'm not very curious. Okay, one thing I'm wondering about is how do you know when you're going to dig up somebody's precious petunia? That's one thing I was considering as I dug up that little exclamation point I spotted earlier today. I had some mild concern that I'd be digging up Kulitz's flower and I was going to be convicted of some heinous crime and tossed away for like 10 minutes. How do you know that you're not digging up somebody's property?
It tells you. I mean, when you dig something that belongs to someone else, it says, "Are you sure you want to dig this guy's cactus patch up or whatever?"
And
And
can you plant anywhere or can you only plant in your own farm? And if you can plant anywhere outside of your farm or a community zone, can people dig it up if it's not your own property?
yeah, that's what I was saying. When you plant something on your farm or around your house, if your house is completed, nobody can touch that until the if the farm expires or whatever, then they can. But the stuff that you plant out in the wilderness, like in certain cases, because your farm has a finite space, and certain large guilds they want to like build a fleet of ships. Well, they go like to the top of a mountain somewhere that they don't think anybody's going to look, and they plant like 10,000 trees. But if you wandered across those trees, you could just jack them. Like if you get there when they're done growing.
Is it obvious what they are if you come across them while
Yeah,
traversing the countryside?
you've
Would
seen
you
it. If you
know?
hover over, you see the gear. You see like that it's actionable, versus just a detail tree that has no action on it.
What if you don't hover over it? Do they have a special
They
glow
don't
or
look any
gleam?
different. No, they look the same.
All right, now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna speak a little bit out of turn here. But my impression of the Sandbox, they're playing on a different server, the Sandbox guys. For those of you who want to hear more of their podcast, and they're talking about ArcheAge, I believe, go to the Sandbox, or actually just go to mmosmacktalk.com and click
Yeah.
on the Sandbox. I actually forget their unique URL. I don't know if it's the Sandbox or Sandbox. Anyway, so go there, check it out. But you might know this, Miguelito. I'm curious. Nate Ryle, he's a big harvester and crafter, right? Um, and I forgot what my point was with him, but I thought I saw recently in the Hangout chat that they're not so content with something in ArcheAge. Is it the game or is it the guild? And then secondly, I thought I saw Kulit say something to the effect of he's strongly considering re-upping his sub to
Yeah.
Mortal Online. And if
Cool
that's the
it.
case, what does this mean about ArcheAge? Why has he, lost interest so soon?
Well, here's a big problem, because these are the guys that head started. They paid 150 bucks to alpha test the game. They've been playing for months. And when they got in the head start, they rushed out and they got their land. And the head start servers, there were only like four of them. So basically, the situation on those servers until just very recently has been that you have to log in about 7 hours before you want to actually play the game because the queue is just so disgustingly long. And because they already acquired land, um, they didn't want to leave, and nobody else wants to leave because they all have shit too. And they're opening servers all the time. And these new servers, they have a much better experience. That's what I think it is. I think it's just it's such a pain in the ass to even try and play the game on one of those servers with the queues that you can't. But in Coolit's situation, he's playing Mortal now. I think he re-upped Mortal, and I still contend that they are not trying to enjoy the game in the way that I try and enjoy the game. And I think it's just like they don't want to level. They're sitting at middle levels. They think they need to be max level before they do anything. The second I got a boat, I was like level 25. I took that shit out. I was like stomping people out for like it's no thing. And you can totally do that. And it's just a different philosophy. I mean, if you want to enjoy a game, you have to try and enjoy it. You can't just sit there and quest grind and think that that's. I mean, if you don't like quest grinding, why are you doing that?
Are you suggesting that they're quest grinding?
I think they're playing it wrong. I mean, that's what I think is happening. I think they know so much about the game that they don't want to try and enjoy it. They want to like get to where they were in the alpha phase so that they can start enjoying it at that point. Because right now I think they feel kind of useless or whatever. But I have a story about last night in ArcheAge after everybody I know logged out. It was about 3 in the morning. I got my harpoon boat, and for those of you that don't know, the harpoon boat, you can shoot a harpoon and then reel in to whatever you shot, including the bottom of the ocean, including the ground or whatever. You can pull yourself up on land and just keep shooting harpoons and drag yourself across the land.
And
Well,
real quick, what sort of resources and time does it take to get that before you start your story?
To build the boat?
Yeah.
I mean, it took us about 3 days. We got about 3 guys. We're playing pretty casually. We had to gather the resources to, like the wood and the iron. Boats are much easier to build than houses, so it didn't take us all that long. If you're dedicated, you have to.
Can you lose your boat like in Darkfall?
You can have it destroyed. You just have to pay to have it reconstructed. But you can't. I mean, it despawns after 5 minutes of nobody being on it. So, I mean, in that respect, you can't like have your boat stolen or anything. But
okay, so I'm sorry, real quick. So once you have your boat, you basically don't lose it. Or when it's destroyed, does it cost like half as much to rebuild it again?
it's like a fancy. It's like a fancy mount. And when your mount dies, you have to go to the stable guy and have him build your mount back, and it's pretty cheap.
Okay.
Comparatively to building a whole new boat, it's very cheap. But to continue the story, I was dragging myself across the continent on land with a harpoon boat, and all these newbies kept jumping on the boat, thinking like this is the coolest shit I've ever seen, as I slowly flounder across the land. And eventually I got to one of the public transport carriages that was just going down on their, they have a set path that they take. And I harpooned it, and it pulled me along the road for a while. So I was just riding in behind this public transport. Then I saw the airship, and I harpooned the airship, which pulled me into the sky. And eventually we marooned ourselves up in a tree, and I had to unsummon the boat. It was probably the craziest thing that I've ever experienced. But after that, I had like 8 to 10 newbies with me, like level 11 to level 25. I was the highest at level 29, so I was the fucking captain, like a boss. All right. I got these guys all out in the water with me. I was like, let's go kill some Asians, and they were down. We killed max level players, like easily, just by virtue of we were hunting them and they weren't hunting us. And that's what I think is a great thing about ArcheAge is the difference between being level 20 and being level 50. It's not totally insurmountable. I mean, you're not going to win a one-on-one most of the time, but you could win like a 2, a 3-on-1. against a max level player. If you tried doing that in World of Warcraft, you'd all be instantly destroyed. And but the difference is only like they might have like twice your health, and that's it.
How much personal skill do you think goes into the battle sequence?
I think as much as personal skill is involved, there's a lot of metagaming as far as you synergize your stuns and your trips and all your different crowd control. I mean, if you're an organized group, there's a lot more skill involved in organizing your rotations than there is in like jumping left and jumping right. The level 11 guy that we had with us, he stayed on the harpoon the whole time because he was worthless to fight. But he reeled us into enemy ships, and then we all boarded the ship and killed everybody on board. And then he released the harpoon, and we kept going. It's like you can have a function on a pirate ship, even if you can't fight at all.
Well, real quick, we got to make something clear here. That dude is harpooner's mate second class. I'm a
Yeah.
harpooner's mate first class.
I don't even know the guy's name. I mean, it's like a guy, totally random guy. I have no idea who he was. I just invited all these newbies that joined my adventure across the land to go pirate with me, and we just went and wrecked shop on people out at sea. And at sea, everything's fair game. I mean, you can kill players of your own faction, you can kill players of the enemy faction, and then there's a third faction that if you gain a certain amount of infamy from committing too many crimes, you have to join the third faction, which is the pirate faction. So you got to watch out for those guys because they can't communicate with you. They have their own guilds, they have their own landmass, and they can't participate. They're essentially just a completely third faction. And it's an interesting system. I mean, this what I'm saying is I could talk about this game for 3 or 4 hours and never get through all the features, just because there's just so many little intricate details. And I mean,
What happens when you kill that 50? Were you rewarded amply, or
we
was
got
it just a pride
we
point?
got we got honor points. We touched on the trade packs earlier, um, where that's the main reason to go pirating is the highest reward you get from trading is by going to either the enemy continent or out somewhere in the middle of the ocean and trading to like a trade NPC for gold or Guild of Stars or whatever. So if you see those guys, you can take them down, snag their pack, and then turn it in where they were going to turn it in, and you didn't incur any of the labor cost of creating that pack. So it's like the most profitable thing you can do.
Well, is
Um,
it a profitable venture to attack a level 50 with a crew of 30s if they don't have a pack attached?
we got a little bit of honor, and honor can be traded in. Like, I mean, we didn't have enough to get anything substantial, and honor doesn't really come into play until you're a higher level. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was just for the sake of going out and seeing what we could do. And that was, I mean, it was it was worth it just by the fact that we had fun.
After you kill a dude in PvP, how long until they can release? And are there any penalties associated with that release?
You release immediately, you get an XP loss if it's a PvE death. In PvP, you don't lose anything except for if you had trade packs. And I'm not talking about, I mean, trade packs are not a rare thing. The longer a server goes on, the more likely you're going to see trade ships with like two, three, four, five, six guys with trade packs on them. And it's going to be just immensely productive to go out there and pirate those guys. But everybody's kind of got the same opinion. So going out at sea is kind of like elite hardcore zone, where you're going just specifically with the intent of fighting. You have to be prepared to be fought as well.
Earlier, you mentioned that after killing a dude, you're kicking him in the sack until he fell off your ship. If he can release right away, what's the point in that? I mean, so like, are you able to drop a guy and he's still there looking up in the dirt at you, and you're able to talk some smack and tell him night
Yeah,
night, the
mostly.
nice try?
mostly uh, drop my dead dog on him. That's the number one. You got to drop the dead dog because you can't understand their language unless you get the skills. So they can't understand you either. But they understand that your dead dog's name is Filthy Dead Dog, or like you could name your dog I Killed You and drop your dead I Killed You dog on them. But most of the time, it's the ArcheAge equivalent of teabagging is just kicking them a whole bunch of times before they release.
Okay, so so you can release right away. It's a choice to stick around,
You have to click a button to release. So I mean, most people have a little bit of a lag time,
and they
and
can't talk
some
to you. Like you can't talk to the dead people, and they talk
they
back.
can't talk back, but you can say things to them if they have the language, then they can understand it.
Oh, if they have your language.
Yeah,
So can you PM people from the opposing faction?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not certain.
What's it like when you talk to somebody from the other language? I think now I could be totally wrong, but for some reason I feel like I remember that in World of Warcraft when it first released, you could actually see the orc language on the screen, and
Yeah,
then it'd be like blibbity blibbity blobbity, and then
yeah,
what they did is people started using leet speak to
special
communicate between
character.
factions, and then they ended up changing it where there could be no communication between factions. I think I'm right about that.
Yeah, I know you're right because I got banned for
Oh, God
it.
damn! I
because
swear to God,
it was
Blizzard.
against the terms of service to talk to people of the opposing faction, and I said some pretty terrible things in special characters. But it's always funny to get an email from Blizzard saying like, "This is what you said," and it's totally innocuous, but it's like just having that email say this is so funny. Like, this is where you draw the line. You're not allowed to say balls to the opposing faction.
Yeah, no, that was one of the reasons I quit that game. Look, it's their product and they're welcome to censor however they see fit. I completely appreciate that. However, it's not enjoyable from my perspective to be censored for something like balls. My brother, he got a 3-day ban for saying Chuck Norris is a pussy. 3-day ban for that. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
So after
I've
that,
said I mean, I've said all kinds of stuff and never got any comeuppance, and then you say one thing that's like totally innocuous that no one would ever get offended by, and they're like, "You're not allowed to talk about dolphins in World of Warcraft. You're banned for a week." Like it just doesn't make any sense. Those guys are crazy. And
no,
speaking of which, they
yes.
canceled they canceled Titan this week, the new Blizzard MMO they've been working on for like 8 years. They
Really?
they canceled it. They just like they said we were making a game, we decided it wasn't fun, and we're canceling it.
Now,
So,
I didn't follow this at all. I was completely unaware of a game called Titan, but it makes me think they were possibly, would that be related to StarCraft 2 as an MMO or what?
I mean, it's been pretty under wraps. There were some rumors about it being social. Um, I mean, you never know. It doesn't behoove Blizzard to make a game that's competitive with World of Warcraft, so I doubt it was a World of StarCraft type of a thing, because that would be a direct competitor. I mean, you have to imagine they were trying to do something that was a little bit different.
So that's it. We have to imagine. There are no videos, or you didn't see any videos?
I'm not sure anything exists,
Now, I want to
but
come back to ArcheAge, but since we're talking about things we don't understand and we're not 100% certain on. Game that I definitely enjoy playing, and we'll talk about periodically on this cast for those of you listening. For those of you not listening, you won't know I said that.
I
uh,
can't believe he didn't say that.
exactly. Dota 2. They've got this rekindling. Did you look it up? Do you know what Dota 2 the rekindling is? I mean, I spoke to you briefly about it. I didn't look it up. I've just been inundated with other things.
Okay, you told me to look this shit up. You said this is gonna be important. I'm gonna look it up. You should read up on this so we can talk about it. And then you didn't even fucking read anything about it? Is that what you're
I
telling me right
forgot
now?
how to read. So what did you learn?
Dude, I'm not a tryhard. I didn't look at I didn't look at it. This is our fucking face slavery of the podcast. All I know is that it's just a content patch. I read some stuff about how Dota was changing their map based on some balance concerns that they had. The placement of Roshan is different. They're going to add a second rune that spawns parallel to the normal rune. every time, so that there's a like you get the haste rune. Now there's going to be on the opposite side. There's going to be like an experience gain rune or something like that. That's always parallel to the normal rune that spawns. Um,
I don't understand that.
the biggest change, I think, was the placement of Roshan, which now is pointed to the right instead of to the left, so that they probably moved the secret shop over there a little bit or something. But it was based on the fact that it was being exploited in tournaments or something. I don't really know. I mean, they're just trying to make the game fresh, and you can't fault them for that.
What do you mean by having these parallel runes? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Like the normal runes that are like regeneration, haste,
Yeah.
double damage. Those are going to spawn like normal, except every time the okay, we got a guy schooling us. Cactus, who writes for I Hate MMOs. He's written an article for me.
That's why
Uh,
dancing cactus sounds familiar. Okay.
he said that it's Shadow Fiend with new graphics, but I think there's more to the content patch than that.
I
If
still require education though. What is this parallel
Yeah,
reality you're talking about?
from what I can understand, it's like you gain bonus experience for killing mobs if you pick that one up. So it just adds another layer to where both sides have to constantly be, gaining rune control. Now I don't know what effect it's going to have on people with bottles. I don't know if you're going to be able to use it to recharge your bottle, because that would be pretty lame if there was no competition for the bottle at the mid. But I mean, we'll see. Valve usually knows what they're doing.
All right. Interesting. We will see. So let's go back to ArcheAge. That was a nice little respite, right?
Face slick
Crafting.
page.
We didn't talk about that yet. We went to harvesting. How difficult and how robust is the crafting game to get your mind around? Is it pretty straightforward, um, or is it complex? And if it's complex, is it kind of like, now I'm not saying this was complex, but if we go back to Vanguard, one thing I liked about that game was the crafting system is kind of like is a mini game where when you're building something, you've got these pots and pans, and I guess they did this in EQ too also, where you're constantly trying to, you know, um, balance out whatever's happening in the crafting game with various supplements and ingredients that you have on hand.
Yeah. The main thing about ArcheAge crafting is everything has a purpose. I mean, there's nothing really that you craft that doesn't either become something else that you craft, or doesn't, that isn't part of a trade pack that you construct to make money or whatever. It's all kind of intertwined. So you see, people, they make the ingots and then they pass them off to another guy who uses the ingots to make something else, and then that thing gets passed off to make like a farm cart you can transport trade packs with, and then you make trade packs with roses that you picked or whatever, and transport that across the continent with the cart. It's all pretty intermingled, um, and extremely intense. I mean, I haven't played a game with crafting that felt as important as ArcheAge, because without the crafting, it would basically just be a World of Warcraft type of a game. But because you have the ability to make all these vessels and vehicles and houses and farms, because of all that, the game is so completely different. I mean, and this is something that you can't even begin to fathom. I don't even know if you have a glider yet.
No, I'm
Uh,
level 8.
do you have a horse?
No, I'm level 8.
Okay, so you missed the quest.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's a
Okay.
quest where you grow your horse, and it kind of introduces you to the animal husbandry type thing, where you get your little baby horse and you plant something to feed it, and then you give it water and bathe it and whatever, and it pops a little bigger and then a little bigger. Uh, it's all like that. I mean, there's never anything that's just like, here you go. It's all like, this is a mechanism that we've built in to add additional features. So if there's one thing I can convey about ArcheAge that I want people to realize, is that if you have a certain thing that you want to do in an MMO, it's probably in ArcheAge. Like I haven't seen anybody that they just don't address. There's no niche outside of, I don't know, space base something or other. It's not a sci-fi game, but outside of that, uh, I can't really think of anything that you can't, at least on some level, be satisfied for any kind of gamer personality with. Like you could quiz me, you could say, does it have this? And it does, probably.
All right, let's talk about skills briefly, and then
Okay.
we're gonna have to wrap this up soon. For those that didn't listen to the beginning, I don't even know if we talked about this, but we're just gonna allot right around an hour to this cast so that we can move on with other things this evening. But I definitely want to talk and cover a lot of ArcheAge stuff because this matters whether or not I play or whether or not I sub or anything else. So I feel like I've gotten a lot of good information out of this, and I definitely demand you power level me because I cannot take this level grind.
Man, I mean, if you get a bunch of labor points, I can give you a bunch of shit, and you can just make it and walk away, like queue it up and walk away from the keyboard and gain a few levels. I mean, it's pretty quick. You just have to, you have to be willing to
Well,
tough
how
out the.
about what if I am acting as Harpooner's mate first class and we kill level 50? Does that give me an extraordinary amount of level points or
I don't
is
know
that
what happened the
nothing?
other day because traditionally you don't gain much experience from PvP, or so I thought. But I killed a player the other day and I got a bunch of experience, and I don't know how or why. So I'm gonna have to look that up because it was just like a weird thing. Like there was a guy on a rowboat in the middle of the ocean. He was like level 40 on a rowboat, like no puttering along the ocean. I had my big old harpoon boat, so I harpooned the rowboat, pulled him in, and then we killed his ass, and I got a bunch of experience. I have no idea why. Like, it just decided that guy, because he was rowing like a little bitch, he was worth experience for some reason. I don't even know. He was like in the deep ocean. I have no idea how he even got that far out in a rowboat. That has
The
got to
game's
be.
like, fuck this guy. He's
So
not playing right.
this guy did something crazy. I mean, okay, and talking about stewage, he got a bunch of water breathing potions. He was talking about running a trade pack on the bottom of the sea, like walking along the
What
bottom
a
of the ocean.
pussy.
But it's like the safest way to do it because you don't have to worry
Well,
about
that's the
me
safest. What, you wouldn't protect him?
harpooning.
Life's just a little
No,
bitch.
man, you can't.
You
You
have to
can't
stalk
protect
him.
somebody.
Oh, you can.
And if somebody dies with a trade pack in the water, that bitch drops to the bottom of the ocean. You have to get like a deep sea diving apparatus to go down and get that thing. And then you got to swim at like 25% speed back to the surface. Most people drown.
Wait
it's
a
pretty
minute.
funny.
Let me get this straight. If I have a trade pack on, can I fight? Can I defend myself?
Yeah, you just can't move very fast.
Okay, but I can cast a spell or shoot an arrow, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, you can do everything like normal. You just can't run very fast.
Can I huddle up and defend myself while you protect my honor and dignity?
I mean, you could like hide like a bitch.
Like, can I hold my shield up? In World of Warcraft, there's defensive positions. At least there used to be. You can assume a defensive, offensive, or whatever. Are there positions in this game?
I mean,
Missionary is not one of them.
not any of my classes, but I mean, there are buffs for like the defensive um, ability tree and things like that are temporary.
Now,
But
speaking of positions, by the way, one thing I noticed is they have something that I really enjoyed a lot in Vanguard, which are complementary spells or skills. So let's
yeah,
say you hit somebody with a thrust and it's a bleed, then you follow it up with a fucking urination. I mean, I don't know. And then
yeah.
they'll debuff them to damage for the next 20
The
seconds.
the ability trees in ArcheAge, they have combos with other ability trees. So like, if you freeze somebody and then you hit them with a certain ability, it does bonus damage. Or if you like, you know, it's the same type of thing. It's they call it combos. Manly boat.
Okay, tell me about skills real quick, and this is what I want to wrap the ArcheAge conversation up with. Um, okay, so I'm level 8. That's the third time, fourth time. People are
Yeah,
learning. Uh,
yeah.
I have applied nothing because I don't. I have not taken the time to read about what any of the skills do. Honestly, at this point in time, between all the quests and running around and being encumbered by fucking loads of wood from the forest, I just have not felt inclined to look. But when I do, if I misspend a point, is it very difficult to respec that point?
There's
And
a
go
there's a
ahead.
button at the bottom of each tree that lets you refund all the points from that tree for just
Is there
like
a cost associated with that?
it's a money cost based on what level you are, I believe, and it's not that. I mean, it's totally affordable at whatever level you're at.
Now, I've noticed it seems like I now have access to other schools. So my guy, he's a priest, a healer, whatever. But I'm seeing, like a thief option and warrior options and wizardry, sorcery. Am I understanding that correctly? Are those things that you could do in the game? Um, and if so, does it matter what sort of character you roll from the outset?
Yes.
Oh, perfect
I mean,
answer.
there are a
Blanket
whole
yes.
assload of trees. You could completely redo your guy, but each tree levels up individually and starts at level 10 if you redo it. So if you get to level 50 and you decide you want to dump one of your trees or all of your trees, the abilities start off at level 10 and you have to level that tree all the way back up. Now it's pretty fast if you have like a level 50 tree to offset it, because you can go kill level 50 mobs, and that experience bar will fill up, proportionally much faster than it did the first time around, because you're getting a lot more experience per kill. But I mean, it's a pain in the ass if you want to. I mean, if you wanted to like switch from like a ninja guy to like a wizard guy, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. But it's less of a pain in the ass than making a whole new character. And they make it a pain to make a new character. Like if you click to delete a character, it says, okay, in a day we might delete the character.
Why
You
would
know,
you
you
do
get
that?
the reason why they do it
No,
is
why would you
because
do that? Why do you want to delete a character if one character can have all the skills?
I mean you want to change the way your face looks or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, you are
It's not
such a
real good.
darling, aren't you?
It's not a. I mean, it's important that I look as fucking weird as possible. And my guy looks weird, like tiniest eyes, weirdest face, skin dark as night with like clown makeup. it's a it's a sight. But
When I was leveling up, I could have sworn not only was I awarded points to apply to my skill trees, but I thought that my healing tree, which is I signed on as a healer, was leveling up regardless.
it
Is there
gain
anything is there
ranks.
anything true to that?
Yeah, well, the abilities gain ranks just on a set rate based on the level. I mean, it doesn't. It's not based on usage or anything. Um, the skill points you distribute are shared. So if you have 3 skill points, you could put them into one tree or all 3 trees
Okay, I feel
individually.
like I'm not getting the right answer
What
from
do
you.
you? What the
Okay,
fuck?
I'm a healer. Take 4. Is there any reason I should have rolled a warrior instead?
You mean from the purpose of like what you start with,
From the
or
purpose of the game. For example, I feel emotionally I'm vulnerable right now, but I feel like because I selected the healer, that every level I automatically get healing skills or points, and then I also get points to apply to the other skill trees. Is that completely false?
you get? This is a weird question. You get
Okay, what is
every
the
three
point of
every three
selecting
level.
a class? Why do you pick a class? Why don't you start the game as
Your
a
class
neuter
determines
dwarf and then you fucking turn in your first quest and then you get to apply a point to
your
sorcery, thievery, or whatever?
all your ability trees determine is what abilities you have access to when you're distributing skill points.
And what's
So if
base
you have,
class mean? What's base class mean?
there's no base class. There's just the first tree you get. By level 10, you have all 3, and that's your class. It's based on the 3 trees. The original class you pick doesn't matter any more than like if you had planned on getting defense and then healing, and you started with defense and then you got healing. It's the same as starting with healing and then getting defense. The class is the same.
So then I can completely discard the initial class I selected when starting the
Now,
game.
you could change the tree out, but it would have to start back at level 10 again.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I can never discard the healing class.
you can. You can
That's what I
switch
mean.
the. Yeah. You can pay to respec your tree to another tree, but it starts off at level 10, and your other trees are whatever level they were before. So like every 5 levels, you unlock a different tier of abilities. So level 10, you have like 3 different abilities from your healing class. At level 50, you would have your entire tree available. So you would you're distracting me. You would get to
Chew
the
bubble
point.
gum and kick ass, son.
Yeah, I'm all out of gum.
Okay, so basically, I put some
Yeah.
thought, I feel like a real douchebag. I wasted time, real life time, putting thought into what sort of class I should be in the beginning. And it sounds like if you're giving a noob a suggestion, it's just pick whatever because you're going to be able to play however you want as the game progresses.
Yes. I mean, you pretty much want to have locked down what you're going to be as early as possible, just because you don't want to have to re-level all your trees again. But it's good to experiment and figure it out. I mean, the best option is to get online and look at what other people are doing and figure out what works. But that's not. I mean, that's try hard. So uh, just pick
You're
something.
a tryhard in disguise. That's what I
Just
truly believe.
I would say just pick something that sounds fun, or pick something that's fun in other games that you played. I mean, there's a stealth tree, there's a fighter tree, there's a wizard. It's all basically familiar stuff. Just kind of like scroll through the abilities and see which ones sound cool, and go with that. Or you could figure out like who's dominating the arena and go based on that. But I don't think that's as fun.
There's an arena in this game.
Well, there's a like you can put yourself in the 1 versus 1 arena or the 5 versus, but it's like a physical location where people do battle and then everybody's like watching.
If you're not in the area, is it an instance? So can you be ported there?
I don't think it's an instance because it's on the map. It's like an area you can go to and look at the arena fights. And
Okay,
you
well,
can
can you sign up remotely and then be ported there, or do you have to travel
I
to
don't
the
think no. It's all a on-site thing. I'm pretty sure. But I don't participate in that. I just go out to sea and do whatever.
All right, I'm about to turn into a fucking pumpkin, so I've got 2 questions for you. Two, they're non-ArcheAge related. So, if you tuned in for ArcheAge, class dismissed.
Yeah, this is over.
Okay, so 2 things I want to touch on though. You told me earlier, and this is funny. What is up with the iBend 6?
Oh my God. Okay, Apple has a tragic history, at least recent history, of just not QAing their devices, their new devices. If you look back at let's start with the iPhone 4, because that was really the last example I could think of where the phone didn't work properly. If you held it like a phone, you had to because the antenna was on the edges. Do you remember this?
Right, I do.
So Steve Jobs came out and said basically like, "You're fucking holding it wrong," and he has a bunch of videos of him holding it like by the tips or like by the corners and like all sorts of weird shit. Well, Apple came out with their brilliant phablet, their phone tablet called the iPhone 6 Plus, and it's made of aluminum. And for people that aren't engineers, uh, let me explain to you. Aluminum is the thing that cans are made out of. And what do cans do when you apply force to them?
Shatter.
They crumple like little bitches. And so basically, they released this device that is larger than anything they've released in the past, and it's made out of the same thing you can crush in one hand. And they thought, it's cool. We don't have to test it. All right. So people are bending these phones, and that's what it comes down to. They're calling it Bendgate. I've also heard it called Benghazi. And
Is there going to be a recall?
And no, Apple released a statement saying that they cannot be bent under normal use. All right. So let's think about how preposterous this is. Because what the reports are is basically people are putting them in their pocket, sitting down, because their pants are too tight. The phone is bending. And yeah, I mean, it's a phone. They said that the phone was going to be more flexible to make it more durable, but it's not flexible when it stays flexed. It's called bending. And
Okay, so this new iPhone, you're not supposed to put it in your
just
pants.
look it
You're
up,
supposed to
man. Look
carry
up
it.
the hashtag
Put it in
bend.
your purse. You're gonna be okay. Just drop it in your fucking handbag. Don't be a bitch, dude.
It's a
Why
real
not?
thing, and they're not taking any responsibility for it whatsoever. I mean, did some scientists? Because I know they've got one of the most expensive QA departments in the U.S. Did some scientists not say maybe we should try and bend it? Like nobody said that. Nobody said like let's because there's a video on YouTube of a guy taking one, a little scrawny nerd, and just bending it like just with his thumbs, like the force of his thumbs in his hands, just bending it in his hand.
Well, question: don't these phones now all have like Gorilla Glass? I would think that that would counter the bending option.
That's the only thing that's preventing it from just being crumpled in your hand. Is it just bends? I'm saying like we could we could include a link to the YouTube video with the cast. I think would be a good idea because this guy just basically bends it in his hand, and that's unacceptable. I mean, could you imagine if the Note came out, the first Samsung Galaxy Note, and people were just like doing what do you call that Japanese paper folding origami with it?
Origami.
They were doing like phonogami. Uh, it just I gotta say, I don't give Steve Jobs any credit because I didn't like the guy. He wasn't a programmer. He didn't ever do anything. He never wrote any code,
You're
and
talking
he
about him in the
loved.
past tense.
Yeah, because he's dead. But the guy did not preside over a bending phone, so you got to say there's a little credit to be had there. Uh, but I guess that goes with anything. Whenever Bill Gates dropped out, Microsoft did Windows 8. So I mean everybody kind of has a transition period of really horrible things.
I'll be honest. I like Windows 8.
You
It's
like
time for
it.
me to come clean. I like it. At first the Metro scene, I didn't like it at all. But as I've grown accustomed to it, I actually have found a use for both that mode as well as the desktop mode. I primarily operate in the desktop mode, but I like the Metro mode as a backup and for other things for sure.
Yeah, it's a touch OS. And for a desktop computer, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I don't need sliding panels on a desktop computer. But
Yeah, no,
it's,
I admit you don't. You definitely don't need it. That's
it
I
kind of
for
seems like they're just trying to be a little flashy for no reason. And Windows worked as it was. They didn't need to change it that much. There's a reason why Windows still dominates the market.
So now going back to phones, which phone would you recommend? Since apparently you don't like the iBend.
the yes, the iPhone 6 Plus, and the Plus is actually an asterisk, and it says will bend.
So which phone do you recommend? We're gonna go buy a phone today.
Well,
Which phone do
I
you
don't know
want
if
to
I can
purchase and
recommend it
rub
yet,
all over your dirty hairy sack?
but somebody donated an invite to me for this new Android phone. And I'm an Android guy. I know you're a Windows phone guy. I don't know why, but you have one. I think it's probably just to be different. But I enjoy Android, and this phone came out called the OnePlus One, and you can check it out on OnePlus.net if you want to be just totally jealous of this phone that I'm getting in the mail soon.
Dude,
But
I looked at that phone. I watched a video on it, and shows some splashing paint and a guy lovingly crafting this phone. And like, I swear to God, the next thing he had to do was just jerk off all over it, and then it'd be
the thing
complete.
about this phone is it is made of foam parts, which is not different at all. But the phone has a 2.5 gigahertz quad-core processor. I mean, if you think about how amazing that is, that like some people's desktops don't even have those specs. It's got 3 gigs of DDR3 RAM and a 6 lens camera that does I think 13 megapixels.
Yeah, 13.
The display is 1920 by 1080, which is I don't know how they do that. Like, how do you take something? Because monitors, I can't even see the pixels. It's the same resolution. Why do you need it so small? I don't know. But maybe people with better eyes than me.
Well, what really has you excited about this phone? After chatting with you a little bit about it the other day, I looked it up, I watched a couple videos, read some specs, and it completely failed to excite me. And I'm not a phone connoisseur, so I don't say that judgmentally. I
It's
just
a
don't get excited about sell stuff.
it's a combination. I mean, if you look at the phone, it's a standalone device. It starts at $299. I'm not trying to sell this phone because you can't even buy it unless you get an invite.
Wait, hold on. We're going to put a link on mmosmacktalk.com. There's going to be a sister link on ihatemmmos.com, and you can buy the fuck out of this phone. So visit
You
that link.
can't.
Go to both
You
sites.
can't. We're not even getting affiliate commissions. So we'll wait until they offer that, and then we can put the link in. But the thing that's good about it is it's like technologically one of the most superior phones on the market, and it's like $300. That's crazy. I
Is that
mean,
$300 with a contract,
zero
or
contract, totally out of contract, $300.
what if you're poor like me and you need a contract?
I mean, you can't buy it.
No, what if
Uh,
what if you need one?
well, you can't, you can't buy it through carrier. It's just this totally new startup that made this phone. They're not affiliated with any of the brands that I'm aware of.
Now, what if after receiving this phone, you realize is a bunch of hype, and not only does your phone bend, but it melts?
Yeah, I guess you threw $300 down a well.
Dude, you
But
gave $300 to that guy that's like squeezing him out all over his phone.
yeah, he's like, I like this phone.
All right,
But
face slavery. Let's talk about it.
okay, I want to know what this is.
I remember what it is. I remember, and now I'm trying to determine whether or not it's a good time to discuss it because we're running shy on time. Um, and I don't know. Let's come back to it in a second. Something more important that I have been wondering about you, and do remind me about face slavery. We'll get back to it. But
Shit.
books. Books are more important. Books
Books.
are the building blocks of your life. So
Books are the building blocks of like a couch that has a leg missing.
are you serious? Do you not read anything?
I would venture to say that okay, everybody reads, all right. I probably read more than a normal person, but what I read is mostly like technical manuals and like code. So I don't read for pleasure. I mean, come on.
That's crazy. So you don't read history or fiction, Dude has a sword and Conan, oh, nothing. You don't do that.
Now is the best time to read history because if you go to the History Channel, all you see is like documentaries about mermaids.
I remember that. Can you believe that?
Oh my
I mean, they
God.
presented
Let's
that shit as real. I mean, now the story's like a year and a half or more than that. More than that.
let's
Like 2 years ago,
podcast
right?
on that. Let's talk about this fucking mermaid sham. My wife teaches fourth grade. These kids came to class. They never said it was fake, and they all watched this shit. And they're like, "Oh my God, did you know that mermaids are real?" Well, no, they're fucking not. Like this was a fucking lie that they perpetuated on an educational channel.
I
Well,
know.
okay, I
I
use that
watched it. It's
loosely.
like the Blair Witch. Were you? Did you drop your balls yet when the Blair Witch came out?
When the
Like, were
when
you old
Blair
enough
Witch
to remember when the Blair Witch came out? When it was
wasn't
being released?
I think I was like 13 or 14 years old, and I saw it, but it was like I guess it's a movie about a guy running through the woods. I I
The
just
point about it is that they did this whole pre-release with this faux press segment, And
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? Because I used to watch a lot of news, and I'm thinking, is this real? I mean, somewhere
Yeah.
out in Virginia or wherever this happened, there's this witch. I'm like, and I've never heard of this.
I've never
And there's
heard of
these
the
new
witch.
breaking
There's
releases,
a witch casting spells, and I haven't
yeah,
seen it on CNN. Are you kidding
yeah,
me?
it's like, what is this all about? I mean, it's kind of cool. And then it turns out that it wasn't real. Broke my heart.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
basically
just
what
like,
I mean, they sucked people in, and I think that, it was more obvious that it wasn't true. But yeah, that mermaid thing, that was an entire hour or two on mermaids and mer life. I mean,
well,
they
they got
showed all
this.
sorts of they showed all sorts of graphics demonstrating how the merman floats alongside the mer bitch and protects her with his light, no, with his triton.
Yeah.
He
They
gets out
evolved
alive.
because they lived next to the water for like 8 years and they grew
Yeah,
tails.
they showed
Because when
sharks coming, and how the mer people dealt with the shark threat, and how the mer woman would take,
and
the
then
mer children and hide them, and
and the
you know
red-headed mermaid had a really good singing voice that she traded to Ursula in order
she's
to
kind
come
of
up on the
hot, and the
surface and marry the
octopus.
prince. Then she gave her voice away, and Ursula came back with a voice and tricked the prince into trying to marry her. And then there was like an issue with Triton and his trident, and they stabbed Ursula with a boat. I mean, that's not real. Come on, History Channel.
They also
But
did a thing recently on sharks, like a super mega shark or something. And then I can't quite remember
yeah,
how this unfolded, but they're showing footage of great whites, but they're leading people to believe this could possibly be the megalodon shark or whatever it's called.
no, yeah, they're so full of shit, man. I mean, and then you turn on there's this necromancer on MSNBC whose name is Al Sharpton, and he's basically a skeleton with a loose black man mask pulled over his head. Have you seen this guy? They try and play him off like he's not like a weird lich king.
He's lost a lot of weight. I'll be honest. I
He
like
looks
watch.
creepy,
I've
man. It's
not
like
watched Al
loose.
Sharpton in a long time, but I do enjoy watching, recap clips that they do with him. They're classic. That's all I can
What
say. It's
a
great entertainment.
what a great what a great American patriot he is.
So let me get back to the books thing. You seriously, and I just find this very difficult to believe, just as Dancing Cactus is shocked that you don't read daily Taoist dissertations. But it's kind of weird to me. I've talked to Coolid about this. He doesn't do a lot of fictional reading, but he'll listen to his books if he's not reading them. And a lot of people I know, they
Yeah.
read something. Do you really truly not read? I mean, what's your wife do to you?
Okay,
She's like an
now
English teacher, right?
first of all, Taoist dissertation. How many people are getting their doctorate in Taoism anyway? I mean, in the world, not many, right? I mean, Taoism. It seems like you wouldn't need to have a doctorate in it to participate, but it's here nor there. I don't really read anything. I mean, why? Why would I do that? TV is so much better.
Oh God, TV just melts your fucking mind. I was reading this. Okay, so I just want to tell people, if you've lasted this long in the podcast or in the YouTube, maybe you skipped ahead to this point, and we say we were gonna wrap it now, we're at an hour 47. But I gotta say, man, I don't know. There's a lot of good books out there. This one series that I've wrapped up, and maybe the guy will write more. But he's got 7. It's Saxon Tales. So if you ever pick it up, it's historical fiction, and it's basically about the Saxon. I'm not the Saxon, the Norse invasion of England when it was primarily under Saxon control. And it makes a lot of historical references, and the majority of battles and stuff like that occurred, and it's just very interesting, and the guy brings the entire time to life. The way he describes the shield walls and the combat and stuff like that. It's just crazy. Because a lot of times you'll watch God, I don't know, you watch a show like Braveheart, okay? They just run across the field, and next thing you know, they're just slapping each other with a club. But the reality is, and this makes a lot of sense, is that shield walls were formed. People put their shields, they interlace them together, and they slowly advance, and they connected shield walls. It's kind of like a sexual thing, and they're just
Well,
stabbing with swords.
that
And
goes all the way back to the phalanx, which is like a Roman maneuver, right?
yeah, I mean, the Romans, they conquered up into Britain, and they brought that tactic to the Europeans, because previously,
But I don't know how this. I don't know how the sax man could defend himself because he just got that saxophone.
that's a very good point. Way to waylay the education.
You have been waylaid.
All right, next question. This is the last one.
Oh God.
Just looking over my list here. Oh, okay. You know what? Actually, there was one. Okay, face slaver is going to have to wait for another day because I can't quite build that out properly in the time we have. But the last thing I wanted to touch on was ArcheAge, so we're going to go back to that to wrap up the show.
Let's talk about mining some more.
No, this is about the subscription options. And maybe you have an idea what this is about. Oh, I just closed a tab. I don't know. That was it, I think. Well, there goes my fuel. Anyway, for the subscription options, there's like 5 options. You know, you can pay like $99. You get a free kitty cat. You get this. Is there real value to those sub options, or would a person be just fine off paying the $15 sub?
I just went with the $15 sub for the founder status, and the founder status basically just means that you're not like a peasant who has to, you know, salvage things from nature. Founders can own property, and that's pretty much all that I wanted to do. Now, if you make a lot of money in the game, if you're like a businessman who's fairly wealthy, you can buy Apex for gold. And Apex is basically like Plex from EVE Online, which is like it's worth a certain amount of pay-to-win currency that you can buy with like $10 per Apex or something. Have you seen that? And,
yeah, that's one of the options.
So you can a person who wants to basically make a lot of money quickly could spend real money on Apex and then sell it in the game. Then you could use that to pay for your subscription or pay for whatever the cash shop items that you want. So that's an option as well if you make a lot of money and you have it to burn.
See that
Yeah.
there's something hinky about that. It makes me feel like there's going to be a problem with this game in the future with the economy. You know, if they're just
you say that, but really all they're doing is they're curbing those gold farmers, and I can't think of a better way to do that, honestly. Like you make it to where the gold farmer is basically the company, and
well, what's wrong with gold farming? That's something that I don't know. Maybe somebody can articulate a solid point for me as to why they're bad, but essentially they're players in the game who just farm gold nonstop. I mean, they're getting the gold that you would otherwise get, and you know, if you don't have a lot of time to play and acquire gold, you could pay your $20, get whatever the going rate is, get some gold, and then go buy some shit.
There are documentaries about these gold farming companies in China. Like they're basically like sweatshops and slave labor with these people that, you know, their job is to make a certain amount of Warcraft money a day, and then they like brute force hack people's accounts and all this other stuff.
Aside of the hacking, you know, when you talk about a sweatshop, the unfortunate thing is they're in a part of the world where this is going to happen.
Yeah, obviously it's going to happen.
Instead, they go be melting circuit boards.
But they're not providing anything to the experience other than the fact that they're taking up space on the server and making it harder to play if you're just playing for fun.
Well, what about the guys that do want to buy gold? I know plenty of guys that buy it to enhance their experience.
Well, yeah,
and so you might say that these farmers are contributing to.
Then you could just buy it from Tryon directly.
Well, in this case, you could, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about
I don't like it. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I'm not saying that it's the best idea. I mean, honestly, the labor system has done wonders towards just making it impossible to corner the market in a short amount of time. Because you just can't. You can't be the guy that just plays with you know, a group of 1,000 and goes and does all this stuff because you run out of labor.
You know, I remember why I brought up Nate Ryle earlier. I was under the impression that he likes to do a lot of the crafting and gathering and stuff. Well, if his labor is running out, what does he do until he has the points to be able to pick daisies?
Play the game. You could do anything. Or you could just go go wash your car, go outside. I mean, if you're
After
running a
stuffing sufficient change into your keyboard.
yeah, and it's a big problem. I think in Korea and Asian countries they have issues with people like playing games and ignoring their socialist responsibilities or whatever. So they put in these mechanisms in order to limit playtime. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to get people from just single-mindedly mining nodes all day. Because I don't know. It's just not something that, it doesn't seem like it's mentally healthy to do that.
So let's control people. Good idea.
Let's put in social control mechanisms.
Hey, so what's up with that piano in the background? Can you play that?
It's a keyboard.
So what's up with that piano in the background? Can you play that?
My wife plays the keyboard.
So what's
She
up with
she
that
plays
piano
like
in the background? Can you
she
play
plays
that?
like a million instruments. She plays like the violin, electric guitar, acoustic bass, all these different things.
Dude, I
Uh,
forgot. We were gonna whip out our guitars for this episode.
oh my God, it's all the way across the room, and I'm not wearing anything below this V-neck.
I think Dancing Cactus would like to see evidence of that statement. Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
dude, I've got nothing else to add, nothing productive or that it would bear fruit. Do you have anything else you want to discuss before we disconnect?
Oh no, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, we're still only scratching the surface of ArcheAge, and I think you'll have more of an opinion if you ever get into it and kind of experience this sort of freeform gameplay. Because right now you're just going in and you're doing the stuff that everybody hates. I don't even know why they continue to have stuff in the game like that because nobody enjoys that kind of gameplay. But
Well, like I was telling you earlier at the outset of this cast, it's good for people that haven't had much exposure to that. My kids, they'll be totally cool with that. But personally, I feel like my hands are tied and my dick is fettered, and I am not enjoying that. So I can't
yeah,
wait to jump out and do some
and I will
piracy
tell
with
you,
you.
have you discovered the F key? Because you can just run through a town, hit F F F F F F F, pick up everything. When you finish up, you run through the town again, hit F F F F F. It turns it all in. You don't have to like click or do anything.
Really?
It's super fast. You don't. Yeah, I mean, I power game that shit like because I don't read anything. I don't look at anything. I don't even want to realize the NPC is trying to talk to me. I want to just blast through there and get out of there.
Okay, I'm gonna try that, and it better work because you've got my
Sometimes you might have
hopes
to hit
up.
G, F and G. those buttons both work.
F A and G. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
hit those.
FAG. Just type that over and over in the chat, and then hit return.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to our cast. That was Miguelito from IHateMMOs.com. And you also take a stab at his Twitter if you just want to follow him there. I think it's at, what is it, Mike? What is it? I don't even know your Twitter.
It's I hate MMORPGs. I simplified it for you.
I hate MMORPGs. That's great for your Twitter handle. You could follow me at MMO Smack Talk or just go to mmosmacktalk.com, which is a place you're going to want to go to anyway in order to download this podcast, because at that point you're going to click on Mr. Pod, you're going to engage us in commentary, and we will love you long time. Afterwards, after you've listened to all three Mr. Pod podcasts, then head on back to MMO Smack Talk and click on the other guys. We've got the Sandbox. They talk about a lot of interesting things. I love listening to those guys. Yak, he's got some old stuff, and more recently he's been posting YouTube videos. So Miguelito, I think later you and I are going to talk about those and how much you enjoyed them. So check that out. Also, we've got some older stuff. I dare you, I double dog dare you not only to lick a frozen fucking pole, but to click on the Viper cast, which is down below the inactive level on the MMORPG, MMO Smack Talk site. And Kalari, check out that stuff if you're really bored. And that's about that.
Glowing endorsement.
Yeah, in the
You're
middle.
super bored.
My site is so messed up, and I am too slothful to bother cleaning it up, and it broke thanks to the theme I was using, Mystique, for my WordPress site, and the guy stopped supporting it or something. So now my
Oh,
site's fucked up. So I'm
I
not
mean,
even gonna bother with it.
anybody that has a gaming podcast and they want to be involved in the MMO Smack Talk web ring, you can submit your podcast to us and we'll consider it. But we're not going to listen to it, so you can pretty much screen anything through there. We'll just post a link to it.
That is exactly true. So if you have a podcast you want to submit, then do it. And that's about all I have to say. That was fun, but now I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, done.